Welcome, this is part 2 of the discussion on the Roundabout cover by Alleaeon. Now, I know nothing about this band. This is actually my first react to this band ever. But the real reason I wanted to hear it right away is somebody mentioned, this is a cover of Yes, Roundabout. And Yes, Roundabout is like voted many, many times as one of the top songs in the 1970s. And it just happens to be progressive rock. Shows you what an amazing decade the 1970s were. It was 1971, I think, Fragile came out. So this song, Roundabout, I was like, who would dare to cover this song? I mean, you hear about covers of unlimited amount of different kind of bands you can cover, and it's never any surprise. But how often do you hear people do covers of progressive rock bands? No less, Yes. I mean, one of the premier 70s prog rock bands. To pull off that is amazing. Now, the big difference for me, of course, was the production was really nice, and obviously they're changing the style. They're bringing this fresher metal sound, and it's funny because Steve Howe, who won 5 or 6, like he's in the Hall of Fame guitarist. Guitar Player Magazine Hall of Fame. He was voted year after year in the 70s as best guitarist of the year. And but one thing I always kind of wished is in 1980, Trevor Rabin came into Yes when Steve Howe stepped out and was in Asia and stuff like that. This new guitarist, Trevor Rabin, who was South African actually, he was really, metal player kind of. He was kind of like a Eddie Van Halen almost kind of player. He wasn't super flashy like that, but he was somewhat, he was pretty flashy. He's a flashy guitarist. Now, Steve Howe has never played a crunchy tone or a saturated electric guitar tone more than a Fender with a distortion cranked up, So he plays his hot tube distortion guitar stuff, and he will play, usually a semi-acoustic like a Gibson, so semi-hollow bodies and stuff. So he has a kind of a jazz-inspired kind of tone. So this band, they're bringing it right up to now with what people like in the metal. Kind of always wished that Steve Howe would kind of venture into that, because I've followed Steve Howe's entire career. I met the guy actually, Tim Hortons restaurant on the side of the road. I was traveling through New York to Massachusetts. I will say that the dynamics, even though this song is so big and full and lush sounding and very modern produced and punchy, lots of, everything's nicely compressed and digitally refined, it does leave a little bit wanting compared to those old 70s recordings, man. Listening to the vinyl on your stereo dual turntable. Nowadays, the sound, it just fills up. It's just totally a solid bar. I mean, that's your digital readout where you see all the signals. Whereas when it was on vinyl, there's lots of breathing room. There was dynamics that went from soft to loud, truly soft to loud, because nowadays even soft, it sounds like it's softer, but it's still actually filling up every little part is filled with sound, becoming part of the whole sound of metal. So that's cool. That's what it's supposed to sound like. But it does make me long a little bit for the old days when there was so much more breathing room in recordings, and you could hear Chris Squire's bass completely clearly. In this recording, the bass got a little bit lost, and which is a little bit of a complaint that you'll hear from me time to time, is that modern day guitars, having all these 8-string guitar, can be so saturated that they're just such a fat sound. That I thought this recording was fine. I mean, for the genre and for what it was, the solos were great. I thought the one section I was really curious. I thought, oh, no one can do anything with that middle section though. What are you going to do with that? Dun 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 dun. Yes made it almost like a kind of a jungle beat. That was one of my favorite parts of the song. What they did with it, took it a step up. They really added their own flavors to that. I'm very impressed with the band. So I'll be reacting to more of this band in the future. Thank you for recommending it and let me know. I didn't know it existed. So it's Dean spiraling out. We'll see you all in the next video. There's lots of playlists you can check out in the meantime. Talk to you all later.